Everyone, welcome. This is Joyita Datta, and I am going ahead with working with functions in Python of class 12. So, now coming to scope of variables. Scope rules of a language are the rules that decide in which part of the program a particular piece of code or data items would be known and can be accessed therein. So, now the part of the program in which the name is legal and accessible, this is called the scope of the program. Okay, now there are the scope can be global, it may be local. So I can have a global scope or a local scope. Now what is a global scope? If I define the variable in the main function, okay, the name is declared in the top level segment or the main function, then it can be used within blocks, within the functions, and where everywhere. So it is known as global. Now what is local? If I declare the name within a function body, that is local to that particular function, so I cannot be using that variable outside, so that is known as a local space. Okay, so if I say, if I go to the same function. Okay, this is a simple calculator function that I was going ahead. So say I put it as add is equal to x plus y, then I give sub is equal to x minus y, which is local. I can always give some multiply is equal to x into y. Okay, it's local, x into y. So this way if I give it, then my question is, can I print add outside? If I say print add comma sub comma mul, so if I do this, then what it is giving me? Then it is giving me an error, and it is saying line 6. Okay, line 6 exceptional statement, it is giving me an error. There is no exceptional statement that is required here. So I delete this. Okay, and I execute it. Fine. Now what is it telling me? It is giving me an error saying that print add sub and multiply. So the name add is not defined because I had the add is not defined because I had defined add within the function. It is not. So what is this? So all this variable, they are local to the function. They are local to the function. Whereas if I would have defined all these things outside, then I will be getting. So say I don't do this, and what I do is say give n is equal to high. So in this case, what it will do, it will print n and then go into calculator. So once the return value is there, it says that it is the end of that particular function. So see, it is returning high, which has been declared in the main function. So this has a scope even within the function. So there is another term that we say is the lifetime of a variable. So the time for which the variable or the name remains in the memory, it is called the lifetime. So lifetime of the variable, the lifetime, it means the time for which the variable lives in the memory. For global variables, lifetime is entire program, whereas the lifetime of local variables is till the program, that is function is running. Now coming to the name resolutions, what are the things included in the name resolution? So herein we follow the rule of LEGB. So L means local environment, it needs to be first is it looks for the local environment. It has if it has variable with the same name, if yes, Python uses its variable. Next, enclosing uh, environment, if there is a variable with the same name, if yes, Python uses its values. So if the variable is not found in the current environment, Python repeats this step to higher level of enclosing environment. Then it goes for the global environment and then built-in environment. So this is how in the resolving scope of the name occurs, from local to enclosing to global to built-in, LEGB. So this is the one which needs to be followed. Next, let us consider some examples. Okay, so variable in the global space but not in local scope. So I have a variable. So if I say print num1, then variable num1 is a global variable but not a local variable. So here what happens, it will print num1, but its scope is the global variable. So Python will check for the local environment and it will find for num1. If it is not found, it will move to the environment enclosing it. So there also, if it is not found, it will go into the global and then built-in environment, and then it will go ahead and say. Okay, next, some some variable name in local space as well as in global space. So it might have in both the cases, so it will give that up as well. So the global, if I want inside a function a local variable, I want it to be a global, then I will add this global term in front of it. So global tigers, inside the function definition, if I want tigers to be accessible even outside, I will make it global by adding the keyword global in front of it. Now, calling functions, argument types and scope of variables. We have mutable and immutable properties of past data objects. Mutable and immutable properties of past data objects. So Python variables are not storage containers, rather Python variables are like memory references. They refer to the memory address where the value is stored. Depending upon the mutability and immutability of its data type, a variable behaves differently. That is, if a variable is referring to an immutable type, then any change in the variable will also change the memory address it is referring to. But if a variable is referring to a mutable type, then any change in the value of the mutable type will not change the memory address. So now if I come into this, what happens in case of if a variable is of mutable type, what happens is I have this list 1 2 3. So variable of 1, I am having they as address and the values are being placed. Now if they are of a immutable type, then what happens, if I want to change the value, then it will change the address of the particular name. Okay, so it will change the address and thus it will go ahead in this way. So mutable ones only will change the value but not the address, but immutable ones will change the address as well. Okay, so here we have mutable types and immutable types of functions which are there. Okay, so that's it with the chapter, and thank you.